So, Case, let's hear it, man. What are you worked up about this week?
I'm worked up. It must be the case that the same group of people that handle the NHL schedule are also trying to work out an international tournament with the IIHF. The NHL and the NHLPA are close to an agreement on a 4-team international tournament set for February 2025 between Canada, USA, Sweden, and Finland. A 4-team tournament. That's barely a tournament, first of all. I've got so many problems on so many different levels here. First of all, 2025, so that's going to be a 9-year span without NHL players in a World Cup type situation, which is just pathetic. Most other sports leagues do it at minimum 4 times a year, and then they've got other tournaments going on. So that's the first problem I have with this. And 2025, it's probably going to be 2026 at this rate. They've been talking about this tournament for 4 years now. So that's ridiculous. Also, you're leaving out Slovakia, Czechia, Switzerland, and Germany, who have all taken such massive advancements in their programs and the growth of hockey in their countries. You've got deep World Junior Championship runs. You've got Olympic medals. Slovakian player going 1st and 2nd overall, 2 Swiss captains in the NHL, top 5, maybe the 2nd best player in the entire world is a German. And we're going to leave these countries out. When you look at the last tournament, Canada, USA, Sweden, Finland, those 4 teams, 2 of those teams finished 0-3 for a tie in dead last. USA and Finland did not win a game, but we're going to include them again. Or of course we're going to include them, but they're 2 of the 4 teams. Europe, that team we made up that comprised of mostly Swiss, Slovakian, and Germans with some Danish players and like Kopitar, they finished in the gold medal game. They lost to Canada. So we're going to leave those teams out. That's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that it's just taking them so long to do this when the World Baseball Classic was such a success last year. Japan taking home another championship is amazing. To me, you're just continuing to grow the game over there, even though it's already so popular. And they brought in $100 million in revenue, something the NHL would love, I'm sure. So why are they not doing that? And then when you did all the interviews with the players, and they're still asking this question today to baseball players, would you rather win the World Baseball Championship or the World Series? There's been like a 50-50 split on that answer. A lot of players saying they'd rather win for their country. All of the Dominican team were like, yeah, I'm winning this tournament every day of the week. I'm not worried about it. And now American players are saying the same thing. I think it was Trey Turner maybe, and he's a pretty damn good baseball player. So the fact that the NHL players have just suffered on that front for years and years and years is just ridiculous to me.
Well, not only have the players suffered, the fans have too, because we haven't had a best on best tournament since the one you were alluding to in 2016, I think was that last tournament where they had Team North America, Team Europe. So, I mean, the fans really are suffering. And then, as a byproduct of that, the people bringing in the money, all the people involved are also suffering, because do you not think that viewers would tune in to watch best on best? If you don't think that, you're absolutely crazy. This would get an incredible draw, especially from a lot of the countries who you mentioned. I'm thinking specifically of a country like Germany, who wasn't included. So that right there just makes no sense. I will say this, totally understand the exclusion of a Team Russia. Makes total sense.
I didn't mention them for a reason.
No, it will exactly, right? So that makes a lot of sense. And I think what this is, and I'm just speculating, is the NHL obviously wanting to exclude Russia, but doing it in an arbitrary way where they also exclude those other few countries. And for whatever reason, that's how it's happened. I don't think it makes any sense because, like you said, Case, those countries who are excluded, like the Swiss and the Germans in particular, have been making incredible strides in their hockey programs. So it is a shame.
If the NHL is scared of how they look to the Russians, then that's a problem in the first place. The other, the solution, I guess, there is have a, Olympic athletes of Russia type team and be like, if you live in North America and play on an NHL team and you're Russian, you can play on a team.
Yeah. Or, I mean, we've already done it. The NHL has already done it in the past, right? With Team North America and Team Europe. You could do like a Team Eastern Europe or something. Like, I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but like there are ways around it if you want to include those athletes, because let's be honest, like, it doesn't really seem fair to exclude some of the best athletes in our sport because of the politics of their country. Not that we're going to get into that, but I mean, no. I do understand it to an extent, but excluding the other countries for no reason really makes absolutely no sense, and delaying it as well. Like, how long does it really take to organize one of these tournaments? I understand that you need rinks to play in, you need a schedule made, but like, that just seems crazy to me.
The World Juniors put its second tournament in the summer in a blink of an eye.
Yeah. So there you go. That's less than 6 months. And they had another whole tournament with more countries, more games. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. It clearly, like, what it seems like, and I don't know if this is the case, but it seems like the owners don't want their players going because of injuries or something. But the want of the players is very strong. You can tell in every conversation you have about competing for your country. Players around the league say that they would absolutely love to do that. And it's a shame for fans, like I've already mentioned, that, in Canada, we haven't seen Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby play on the same team together, and maybe we never will. I mean, if this thing even happens, hopefully Sid is still good enough. I mean, he's having a pretty great year this year, but the point stands, right? Like, like fans have been robbed.
Yeah, I mean, you look at soccer, the soccer world, they take little breaks throughout the season, like international breaks. This week, no one plays. Everyone's playing their international teams, and then they'll come back a week or two later. And the teams that are sending their players off in the soccer or football world, they are, double or triple the value of some of these NHL teams and their owners. So I understand that maybe they have more money and that's why they're not as worried, but I think that's a silly problem that's holding this back, is the owners not wanting the players to go and play because, either they get hurt in that or they get hurt playing for your team.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah, this is classic NHL. Like, I'm so tired of how this league makes decisions. Like, and aside from this, like, problems that come up, legal issues with players that come out in the headlines or whatever, the NHL waits for problems to go away. They wait for things to go away. We forget about them. I feel like they wait for that, and then it either comes out way later than it should, or it's taken way longer than it should, or it doesn't come out at all about certain things. And, there are some specific things that we're waiting on, like the 2018 World Junior investigation and things like that. We're not going to get into all that stuff, but it just goes back to this whole thing that we're talking about. It's like, I get it. Like, we've heard it since day one. Gary Bettman works for the owners in the NHL. I get that. They own the teams. They've paid the big prices. I get all of that. But if you're going to not have a best on best, or make us wait this long, or, cut out so many teams and some of the best players on the planet, like we've mentioned, clearly it sends a message. Two things. One, you don't care what your players think, and you don't care what your fans think. Mm-hmm. The people who are paying the ticket prices, the subscriptions to watch games and et cetera, and your players who are ultimately sacrificing the most, playing the actual game on the ice. I get the worry about injury and all of that, but when your players are when there's an outcry from the players for something like this, and this is what you have to offer, 4 teams, it's ridiculous. I'm so tired of the NHL and the way they make decisions.
Are either of you guys surprised by this at all?
No, that was my whole point to everything I just said. I am not surprised at all. This is classic NHL, and I'm just done with it. I'm not even surprised anymore.
The amount of comments I've seen saying exactly that is a problem, because time after time it's the same shit from the league. Like, why are they the only major professional sports league that can't get it right? Like every other league does it properly, no matter what sport. So just crazy.